I'm calling for new, presidential elections and just redo the whole 2016 election because depending on who we have, the contenders vying for the seat of the White House, the presidency, is going to influence who our Congress members are also. And people are going to laugh and say I'm crazy, I'm stupid, and it's never going to happen. I get that. And it's not because I dislike Donald Trump or his policies, which I definitely do. Um, and let me add this, actually, adult voice in our political discourse that, I could be wrong, but here's what I see with Trump. That this administration, people that don't really understand the nuances, the intricacies, and it's really not that complicated of how an economy functions in a sense that money has to flow through the system. There has to be a middle class. The deregulation of financial sector that I fear that Donald Trump's policies, this administration, the tariffs, is going to really do great harm to the economy. We're headed for a crash, I think. And this is someone who's worked in the financial industry for 10 years, and I researched it. I read it. I'm pretty well. I've thought about it. I've read arguments from, that Nobel Prize economist. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But regardless, I'm not just. I know more about the economy than most people, and that is my honest opinion. Beyond that, the Environmental Protection Agency and the lack of its doing its job to keep our waters safe and not tackling climate change aggressively. And again, we can disagree about that. Some people don't think man-made climate change is real, and I don't have time to argue with those people. But for those of us that are convinced that it is real, and it's a threat to our life on planet Earth, realize that we're in one of the great mass extinctions the planet's ever seen, then I cannot sit back and accept that the 2016 election was fraudulent. That was not democracy in action. If the United States had a functioning, working, healthy democracy, Bernie Sanders would be the president right now. It's not Trump that cheated Bernie, it was the Democratic establishment. People who think Trump is Trump alone is the enemy or is the problem. You're missing the problem. The problem is the establishment. It's the force of greed in the world. The corporations, and I'm not vilifying, right? The corporations and CEOs and greedy people, but there are greedy institutions, and they exist. Greed is their life force. So it's not their fault for being greedy. It's everyone else's fault for not standing up to it. And this really is humanity's story. It's the force of greed, I think, and fear, and that causes so much suffering and atrocities in the world. This is the dance of life. We all have work to do. Every generation has to struggle for it. And I think if we don't, now are we going to get new elections in the next couple of years and hold? Who knows? I don't know. But I'm throwing down a challenge. I think we can do it. I think we are the majority. And I think tremendous pain and suffering will set in for the country, for the world, if we don't get it right. And think of what a magic moment that could be if we did that, if we ousted this entire corrupt administration. Guys, you could hate me all you want to, but there's corruption up and down. Most politicians are in the game because they want fame, money, and power. They lie, they cheat. Maybe not most, but an awful lot of them. Politics draws a certain kind of person, and when we allow, as Americans, allow this kind of influence of money in our political system, it draws those people even more. So, would love to see Americans. Look, it's broken, guys. The country is broken. Democracy is broken. It's gone. As it stands, the people of the United States have no power in the say of government. The government does not work for the people. Again, we can't keep our water safe. We can't tackle climate change. We can't tackle runaway, escalating wealth inequality because the government works for the corporations and special interests. The tax money we spend goes to bail out, for example, the oil industry. Unacceptable. Our education system is pretty lousy. We got lots of issues. Our infrastructure is crumbling. And I understand. I've got friends who are gun rights advocates. I'm not trying to take away all the guns, but we need to. There are rules been proposed at closing up the loopholes in background checks, limiting certain assault weapons that are extremely popular amongst the people. And this government will never pass those laws to maybe save a few lives here and there. It's not going to solve all the mass shootings, but we'll save lives. It's not going to happen with our current system because, again, that's the influence of the special interests, in this case, the NRA. So it's worth a shot. I'll say it again. For the huge amount of good that we can do. I mean, we could change the energy of the world. Not a whole lot of people in the world are happy with Trump in the White House. He's a danger to life on Earth, again, because we're not going to get serious about climate change. We see that the powers that be are amassing more and more power in this country. The people have lost the power. We don't even have the government by the people. Democracy's been stolen by those same greedy forces. It is up to the people, all of us, to get busy and take that power back. And gosh, if we can't do it peacefully, then I fear for the future of there's going to be violent outbreaks. I think people are getting fed up, and we cannot continue and allow these greedy forces to destroy the planet, as we've been doing, on and on. Yeah, it's been going on for a long time, but we're really fast approaching a tipping point if we've not already passed it, in terms of combating the dramatic weather effects of climate change. We can't continue. It's time. It's time for bold action. So sign and share the petition. I think it's only a matter of time before someone, it would be it YouTube media, TV media, newspapers. I reach out to lots of people, celebrities, anyone who could help me just spread the message and take this idea to the people. And it's really, if we can't get the elections, let's at least force a national conversation about the state of our country and the state of our democracy. There's a huge elephant in the room in politics that you never hear about on TV or really hardly anywhere else. What happened with the 2016 Clinton, Trump? Here's what happened. The most popular politician in the country, whose ideas were right down the center, overwhelmingly popular with the majority of Americans, and the only man who addressed the central issue facing this country, which is the corruption, money in politics. The only guy who spoke about it, who wasn't taking special interest money, was Bernie Sanders, and he got screwed. He got cheated by the DNC. Wasn't covered by the media. And that's it. That's the problem. The establishment had its way. We had two establishment candidates. Clinton was obviously establishment. She wasn't going to change anything. And Trump was a liar. He promised change, but he's the same corrupt, arrogant, lying character that Clinton is. So let's at least, let the establishment know that people are paying attention. We're not going to go down quietly. This is peaceful. Look, if we can't unite as Americans, the vast majority, behind the idea that we ought to live in a democracy, in that the most popular candidate should represent the people. The candidate the people want, the candidates, I should say, should be serving us in office. We don't have that. We don't have democracy. So even if you like Trump, I hope that you'll set aside your affection for him and say, well, let's see. Let's let the people decide who we want. Do more people want Donald Trump, who was the fair and square, the winner of the Republican primary? Or do they want Bernie Sanders, who is the fair and square winner from the Democratic primary? There's no way Hillary won California. And that's just one state out of many, anomalies throughout the primary. And people that weren't paying attention, I don't have time to convince you. Bernie should have been the nominee, and I think Bernie would crush Trump. So let's find out. So there's the challenge, guys. Let's see what we can do with this. I think we can do it. It's certainly worth the shot. What the Founding Fathers say about the state of this country. It's disgusting. And it's not Trump's fault. It's not the DNC's fault. It's just blame to go around. It's the people's fault. made this point a couple of years ago in one of my first YouTube videos, that when people don't vote, when people don't exercise their power in this system of democracy, the power that they have, it gets transferred right to the powers that be, to the point that we no longer have a democracy or government for the people. So I'll put my link to the petition below. Let me just add this too. I think, boy, the vitriol, the divisiveness, the really childish, immature level of discourse I see online with the media. We all have to mature and try to understand opposing points of view. We can't keep judging people for being stupid or simply racist or you gotta try and listen to each other. We have to. Gotta elevate our discourse. So there's my petition. I started this petition right after the elections, 2016. Because I knew that it's great Clinton lost. Now we have to stop Trump. This guy's going to be a disaster. Let's do it. Thanks for watching. Share the video. Thanks.